Hello everyone. In this video, I'm breaking down how I built this composition from two main ideas, and how those ideas shape everything in the piece. While motif often refers to a short musical idea, more broadly, it can refer to any recurring element. Here, I'm using it to describe two recurring conceptual elements. This piece is built around a central theme, the number 6 and the character of the snake, which is then expressed through recurring motifs like intervals, time signatures, chords, and other compositional decisions. By seeing real-life examples of the application of motific writing, I hope you can learn from the compositional process. Now, let's take a listen to my song, Snake. Thanks for watching. So the Zodiac album is my latest work in progress, and it's centered around the Chinese zodiac, which uses 12 animals to outline a 12-year cycle. The Chinese zodiac features a folk story called The Great Race. In the story, the animals are competing to cross a river and cross the finish line, and the order in which the animals cross that finish line will determine the position in the 12-year cycle. With 12 animals and 12 key centers in music, I came up pretty early on that I wanted to structure the album that each song would get a different key center. So the rat being the first place animal, I thought I would assign them the key of C. And then I thought that the ox coming right behind in second should be close to C, but not quite in C, so I put them in C sharp. And then every animal after that would follow. So based on this half-step structure, that would place the snake, which is the 6th animal, at F. The two pieces of information we have is we have the number 6, obviously, and then we also have the fact that it's the snake. And so these are the two concepts that I devised the whole piece. To begin with, obviously we have the key of F, but the number 6 also decided a bunch of things about the structure of the song before I even started. I put the song immediately into 6/4, and then I quickly decided that the bass should move from the root of the key, which is F, to the 6th note of that scale, which is D. So we're going from 1 to 6 in the bass. Sounds like this. And the chord progression also follows this 1 to 6 motion. So we have the 1 minor 7 chord, which is the F7 chord. And then we have the 6-9 chord, which is the D9 chord in this key. So F minor 7 to D9. And so altogether, just by using that number 6 repeatedly, I came up with the main key of the song, F. I came up with the time signature, 6/4. I came up with the bass motion, F to D, and I came up with the chord progression, 1 minor 7 to 6-9, the D9 chord. Let's hear what that all sounds like together. And so where do I put the snake in all of that? That's the other main motif. So let me explain.
I knew that the snake should be in the key of F because of the 12 chromatic cycle. But because the snake has kind of a dark personality generally, I thought minor rather than major. So we have a minor key center here. So there's that. I also have this left hand ostinato with this very insistent upbeat rhythm. I thought it gives the piece this really nice driving sensation, which I thought fits with like the hypnotic winding of the snake. The next thing that takes on the personality of the snake is this winding right hand melody. Let's take a listen to that. One of my favorite tricks also for chord progressions and chord voicings is having a top note, which is the same, and then having the chord colors underneath that shift in quality. This is like a same top note technique used by musicians like Robert Glasper. But yeah, you can see that C holds everything together, and underneath, the rest of this voicing moves by half step. And I just love that motion. But yeah, because there's so much going on that's different between the chords, the melody has to travel quite a distance harmonically. So I got about here when writing that melody when I realized, firstly, that it's highly chromatic, and secondly, that there's no repetitions. And so I decided that with a little extra effort, I could turn this into a tone row. If you're not familiar with a tone row is a 20th century music composition device in which you take a series of notes and you include every note of the chromatic scale once with no repetitions. Now, the chromatic scale is technically a tone row because we have every note once. However, really tone rows get their character from the order reshuffled of the chromatic scale, as well as the octave displacement, and that's really what gives each tone row its characteristic. Repetition is such an important element of music because it generates structure. So when you force a line to be devoid of that, it really makes it sound completely random. So why did I want the melody to be a tone row exactly? Well, predominantly because I thought that it's cool. It's a fun musical challenge to try to use something that sounds abstract and random and then like legitimize that harmonically and rhythmically and melodically. And so it's a beautiful puzzle to work on. But after having found the solution and being quite happy with it, I guess I realized that I could justify it and say that the snake wanders through the 12 pitches, slithers their way through the 12 pitches. And beyond just that metaphor, I think that it also gives this line that chromatic angularity that really fits the characteristic of that snake. Let's hear all of this together one more time. So moving onwards, I'm going to show you the next part of the composition, which is the B section. Now, contrast is a main element of my music. Contrast is what gives music perspective, in my opinion, and it's why I use this as an element so frequently. Just like when you're trying to order like a set list for a concert, you want to put the fastest song next to the slowest sometimes. It makes the faster song sound super fast, the slower song super slow. It gives that perspective. I think you can do the same by having contrasting elements within the same song. And so to contrast with like the dense chromatic nature, the insistent nature of this A section, I knew that I wanted to go in an alternate direction with the B section. And symbolically, I wanted to explore the beautiful nature of the snake. So firstly, I'll run through how it contrasts, and then I'll explain how the motifs are still present through. So to contrast with the A section, the right-hand road suddenly has a lot of space here. A lot of space in between the phrases. And then I let the left hand, which played a much more supportive role in the previous section, take on the main leading role in this section. Not only that, but the harmonic rhythm is a lot slower. The chord changes were changing a lot faster in the A section. So chord, and then new chord, and then new chord. But here we linger. One chord for this whole stretch of time. And then we change here. So a lot more space. And then of course the drum pattern is different. We have this thing which is like very hi-hat, closed hi-hat heavy. And then we go into something that uses a lot more ride bell. And this is an Afro-Cuban 6/8 drum feel, which I'll explain. And so I wanted to use these two sections to show, firstly, like the conniving, evil darkness of the snake. And then secondly now, the more beautiful, elegant elements of the snake. So let me show you how the motifs are still present. So firstly, when coming up with this section, I was thinking about the number 6 and how I can continue to expound upon that. And the first thing that came to mind was Afro-Cuban 6/8. So that's what is going on in the drums here. We got this specific drum pattern. So the Afro-Cuban 6/8 drum pattern, it comes from a combination of Cuban and West African music. And it has this really hypnotic, like tumbling, rolling, undulating type feel to it. It feels that way, I think, because it has both present divisions of 2 and divisions of 3, basically a polyrhythm, a 2 against 3 polyrhythm. So presenting the 2-note subdivisions, we have the kick drum and the hi-hat pedal. So we're basically going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have the toms doing a completely different thing. They're actually emphasizing the 3-note subdivision here, and they're placed on beat 3 and beat 6. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's hear that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 6, 3, 5, 6. Symbolically, I think it really pairs up with the feeling that I wanted for the snake. It has this very hypnotic rolling feeling, matching the way that the snake moves. Still on the subject of the number 6, we have our chord progression. We're still in the key of F, but now instead of the 6th note, we have the flat 6. So our lowest note, our bass note, is D flat now. And then we have a chord structure that's like. Really, the most important thing to know is that we have this structure built off of fourths. So starting on F here, we have a 4th interval, followed by another 4th interval. And then we start the pattern again on C. 4th, 4th, 4th. 4th, 4th, 4th. And yeah, these are all the unique notes in the chord. You could say that it is something like a D flat major 13 sharp 11 no 5th, because it would be It would be D flat major 13 sharp 11 if it had the A flat in it, maybe. But without that, I think it's important enough to the chord structure to say no fifth. You could also call it, it might be easier for someone to find, like, say, C minor 11 over D flat. Or F7 sus over D flat. F9 sus. And then the next chord is this chord here. So the bass note is C, which is kind of cheating, I guess, but I still consider it a 6th chord because the upper structure here is this D9 sound, the same one from before, really, just with a C in the bass. So we have something like that. So yeah, still a 6th chord, just with that 5th note in the bass here, that C. Okay, and then in terms of the snake, we already talked about the Afro-Cuban 6/8 being undulating like a snake. The specific way that I came up with this left-hand line, I was thinking about the snake stretching out and then kind of wrapping around. So that's where I came up with this specific pattern. So yeah, that's the snake like stretching upwards. And then here the snake is kind of twisting. So that's kind of what I was thinking when writing that part. So yeah, that's how the motifs of the number 6 and the snake are still present in this section of the song. Now, kind of going back to that contrast before that I was talking about, I wanted to say that contrast is not enough, I think, in isolation. Because if you just focus on contrast and there's nothing gluing together the piece, basically what you end up with is you have two songs that are like shoved together. There's still something that needs to glue it together. And so what glues these two parts together that make it sound like composition? Well, we have the number 6 motif and the snake motif. We have this melodic fragment that ends the A section in the Rhodes melody right here. A little section there. And that carries on into the B section. So that kind of melodic fragment ties everything together right there. We still have this D9 chord. In the first section, it's like this. In the second section, it's just this, really. So that harmonic idea is present in both sections. And then the time signature is still divisions of 6. We have 6/4, technically 6/8, but really there's no perceivable difference. So yeah, a division of 6 felt in both drum patterns. And the instrumentation is the same. While the roles of the acoustic piano and the Rhodes piano switch, which is which one is supporting, which one is leading, obviously the instrumentation and everything remains the same. So while there's a lot that's going on that's different, there's a lot that's going on that is the same, that glues everything together to make it feel like a composition that belongs together. So to summarize, I used the motifs of the number 6 and the personality of the snake to come up with this entire composition. Really, it helped me tremendously just by narrowing my focus and reducing the limitless possibilities from infinite to like a narrower scope. I was able to come up with these ideas pretty quickly. In some ways, I felt like the composition like wrote itself. Whenever I had a question, like what should come next, I just thought about those two motifs and something naturally would flow out. So if you learned anything while watching this video, please let me know in the comments. You can hit that subscribe button or give a thumbs up. I am in the process of writing this song, so if you have any ideas of how to continue, you can please let me know. In particular, that drum pattern in the A section needs some work for sure. I'm not a drummer, so if you want to give me some references, some songs in 6 that have cool drum patterns that might fit that section better, please let me know in the comments. I could use that, and any other suggestions as well. And yeah, I'm going to continue to document my journey while writing this album. I'm about 6 compositions in. I'm going to still try to make some videos on this compositional journey. And I'm excited to continue to share that with you. So look out for those videos on my channel as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.